Listen to Career Paths by Implement every Thursday.
You might learn something.
You might not.
Available on Apple Podcasts,
On Spreaker,
Spotify,
on Google,
and iHeartRadio. It's your life. Make it happen.
Well, you knew how to run things, and we turn it on, and I'm just saying.
Yeah. Cut out the in the background going. What is that noise?
It's our new sound effect that we're using. We're trying it out. See if it adds excitement or.
All you hear is fan noise. So I don't come in from off stage or something.
No, you stay where you're. No, this is YouTube unedited, so it just as it starts, it is what it is, right? See, I'll ready?
I've seen it.
You're not impressed either, huh? Welcome to Career Paths by Infonet. I'm your host, Victor Boudreau, with Mr. Ryan King. Hi, Ryan.
Hey.
What's up?
Nothing.
And today we have our guest is what? Ryan, could you introduce
I just met him earlier. His name's Kevin King.
Kevin King? Nice.
Weird coincidence.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
No resemblance.
Huh. 40 years, huh, Kevin? It was your birthday yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It was.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're going, wow. 40 years is since I brought up when we actually figured out from high school.
From high school, we were friends.
Like right near the end before you graduated, like
Yeah.
I mean, a very short time before you graduated. You were a year ahead of me.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of similar interests, and then you joined the Army.
Joined the Army.
And you were in the Army for how long?
2 years.
Let's back up because I do know the story, but our listeners don't. Ryan, do you know the story? So go ahead and share the story.
Yeah, what is this?
Which story is this?
Why he has done what he's career-wise, kind of, at least from what I know, that got you along the way. For me, it was the common interest that we have that. So,
which is what?
there's a character, comic book character. You might have heard of him. It's Batman.
Batman.
It's
Yeah.
kind
I
of
thought
a
it
lot
was
of
Man-Bat.
I believe it's Batman.
Okay.
So I was a big Batman fan,
Yes,
as you know.
we figured out
from a kid, and I don't even know how we actually met in high school. I don't remember.
We came from a small high school, but yeah.
Yeah, a small high school, but somehow we got to talking, and we found out we had similar interests in
Batman
comic
was-
books, which
yes.
a lot of kids did not.
Yeah, we were
back
geeks,
then.
kind
Yeah,
of,
we were the
but
geeks.
not everybody knew that
Everybody's
we were.
a geek now, but back
Yeah,
then.
it was cool now, but back then.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my career, but I always, a good moral compass from my parents, but also reading comic books, I think, sort of instilled that, and I was interested in a career in law enforcement. So.
But Batman did, in the back of your head, some way, somehow. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah.
That's where I was
In
going.
fact, when I was in the police academy, you had to
See,
give
please. I'm just saying that's. Go ahead.
we had to give a speech about what influenced us to choose our career.
Sure.
That's what I did, believe it or not.
I do believe it.
Yeah.
But it had.
Yeah. So I got to be Batman for my career.
And in more ways, we'll hit that other Batman a thing that because
So we won't talk about that.
I will. I have to share a picture of because I don't know that guy that you were in the picture with, or that Batman was Spokane Batman was with that warrior character from several years ago.
I have no idea what you're
I know you don't. So yeah. Anyway, so Ryan.
We're all the
Here,
same.
let me jump in. All right. So first of all, give us a little bit of background about yourself. Wife, kids, married. Brothers, things like that.
You have brothers?
Yeah. I have a real good brother, Derek, and a great sister, Shannon, and then there's Ryan.
Oh.
But, yeah. So we all grew up, as you know. We grew up on a farm in Chatteroy,
North
out
of
in
Spokane.
the middle of nowhere. Now there's houses everywhere around
Yeah.
it. But went to school at Riverside, just north of Spokane. Like we talked about, after high school, graduated high school, I joined the Army for 2 years. I was military police. Did that. Gave me my taste of law enforcement and got out of that and did security guard and then went to college and actually met my wife.
Doing the security.
Yeah, I was working security at Northtown before it was an indoor mall. It was an outdoor mall.
I remember that.
Yeah, she worked at Baskin
She
Robbins.
did.
And
You were gonna set me up with her.
yeah, right.
No, seriously, I do. Even if it was joking, I'm not saying it was
We
for
were
real.
talking about memories going just a few minutes ago. I think somebody is going already.
Nina Hurtful.
I think he's the only one that remembers that story.
I'm not saying I wanted you to have anything to do with you or your. They're nice people. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, so I went to college.
Where'd you go to college at?
I went to SEC. So when I went
Spokane
enlisted,
Community College.
SEC, Spokane Community College, I went to the law enforcement program. So when I enlisted at that time, the sign-on bonus was for every year you enlisted, they would pay for a year of college plus living stipend as well.
Wow.
Which was pretty unheard of.
Yeah.
Back then. So I was in for 2 years. The law enforcement program at SEC is a 2-year program, and really, really good program. So I went through that, and then I started testing in different departments, and got hired with the Spokane Police Department.
How long did that take? The process testing him.
So.
If you
Yeah,
remember that long ago?
Yeah, I do. So, to get on with a police department anywhere in the state, it's going to be through what's called civil service. So
Mhm.
civil services, I mean, you're familiar with
I
the
am.
city. So basically, it's set up to make the hiring process fair. You take a test based upon whatever job you're applying for, which for me it was police officer. And at that time, you had to go to a different agency. So I had to look in the newspaper, this is before internet, really. Look in the newspaper, find somebody that was advertising a police job somewhere, apply, and get your letter back, and then you had to go test there, and then if you did well on the test, you had to go back and take the physical test, and then if you did well on that, you had to go back and do the interview. So there's a lot of driving around, but...
What were some of the towns you or places you went to?
So, boy, I can't even remember. I went down to Tri-Cities. I applied for several departments in the Seattle area here. Actually, after I graduated college, I got a job offer here at Spokane, but then they pushed that off for a year. So I spent a year going around because I didn't know it was going to be a year. They just said we're not hiring right now. You're number one on the list. We don't know when we're going to hire. So I went around testing, and then it was about a year later, after all that testing, I had a job offer from Issaquah and Redmond over on the west side on the same day.
Wow.
And so my wife and I were trying to decide where we wanted to live.
Right.
And then the next day, Spokane called and said, well, yeah, that's where
You were working security during this time, that year?
Actually,
or what were you
no,
doing?
after
Money
college, I got a job at a balloon shop. So, yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, which really helped me in law enforcement.
You had to you had to live.
Well, I had to make deliveries, so I got to learn, driving around town. I got to learn the streets and stuff. No, I was joking. It didn't really help me at all. But yeah, it was just
You made a couple dollars and you ate.
Yeah.
Exactly,
It kept
that's
me.
There's times you have to do
money.
things.
Exactly. So to travel around and test and whatnot.
Once again, Kevin, the reason the show is to help others, maybe, so doing something like working at a balloon factory, what the heck?
This is like you go in and you buy balloon bouquets. So we had balloons all
Okay.
over, and then I'd deliver helium tanks to different
There's
places.
things you got to do if you
Exactly.
want
Yeah.
to. Just saying. So
It was a good job, actually. It was sort of fun. But, yeah. So I was doing that.
Do you know how to make balloon animals?
I do not make balloon animals, but I can all the balloon arches and stuff like you see at car
whatever.
lots.
Anyway,
I
go
can
ahead.
whip one of those out really fast. So
'Cause I remember going with you over to, I think it was Issaquah when you tested
Oh, do
over
you?
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Me and Derek both went over.
Oh. I don't remember. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was
That's right.
33 years ago, something like that.
You're old.
What?
Yeah, I must have just been in diapers or something.
Yeah, that's I'm going with that.
No, I don't remember that. That's, yeah, so we traveled all around testing and whatnot. So, but yeah, so then I got hired with the Spokane Police Department in 1988.
Wow. And when you got into that, how's that work? I have no clue, even though I know several people in law enforcement. I know a gentleman that just got hired on in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
A younger gentleman, Jade. He was on our show. Yeah, he's over in Seattle, by the way.
Oh well,
Just
Good
so
for him.
much. Yeah, he's enjoying it. He enjoys Seattle. I didn't know how things. I asked him, is it crazy over there? But he's actually it's working for him. So
Oh, good.
and he's always wanted to do that. So, what's the process when you get in there? Do you have to more learning for what they? I mean, there's obviously some basics that how they do what they do, but
Well, you've seen the police academy movies, right?
Y-
Exactly like that. Exactly. Like that. Yeah. No. So
were you the
get-
guy making the weird noises?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you get hired, so just getting hired is a little bit of a process in itself, and just for everybody's information, I mean, to get hired, you have to be 21, obviously. You can't have any felony convictions. Misdemeanor convictions, actually one of the jobs I had as a police officer, I was in charge of hiring for quite a while. But, I mean, I can touch on that later, but, you shouldn't have an extensive criminal history,
Yeah, that's,
obviously.
yeah. I would
yeah.
think that wouldn't be a plus.
And so then you go through a background investigation.
Correct.
And that background investigation is actually the same as top secret security clearance to the military. It's very extensive, and so you're basically pouring out your whole life, and then the background investigator goes and confirms all of that.
Right.
They'll call people. They'll even fly to different places to actually talk to people and everything, because they're going to put a lot of time and effort and
That's the
money
plan, exactly.
into training you, so they want to make sure they got a good candidate. So after that background investigation, there's a polygraph, and so that polygraph is basically to confirm that everything you told them is true. And then after that, you're hired. And
Is the physical and mental before that? Or?
there is a yes. So that's in that process too.
Okay.
So there's also a psych exam.
Correct.
And then there is a physical test too that you have to pass, and it's basically to make sure that you can, because there's a physical standard just to get into the academy, and so that's just to make sure you can
Do what you need to do.
do that in the academy. Exactly.
Right.
So, and yeah, so then you get hired,
And they still, with mental, they still hired you.
I slipped through. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah. That was interesting. I mean, I would say, I was 25 when I got hired,
That's
but
kinda
I was
young,
still a little
You're
a little
youngish.
naive, I think, looking back.
Right,
Because
right.
some of the questions about, like that came up in the
You remember one that sticks
Sure,
out?
like, have you had sex with animals? It's like, what? I mean, that was new and foreign to me as a
Yeah,
25-year-old,
that would-
but, yeah.
What was
So-
your answer? Oh, never mind. Never mind. I don't need. That was then. This is now. Keep
Well,
going.
we grew up on a farm, so. But then, once you get hired, then you go through the academy, and at that time,
How long is that?
so at that time the academy was 10 weeks, and
Okay.
now it's 5.5 months, so it's quite a bit longer now.
I think that's what the kid that
Yeah.
Jade just went through, and yeah.
Yeah. So, and then after the academy, usually you'll have, almost every agency will have some more training that they'll put you through specific to their department, and then you get teamed up with a training officer, and then that usually lasts 3 to 5 months.
And you recently retired,
I did.
but when you were working, you went through several different positions, or so because you did K9.
Did K9, I was on SWAT.
SWAT.
And then I was a sergeant and a lieutenant, and then finally my last position was as a major.
So was it when you're doing training for each of these? Was it pretty much time frame wise, and was anything stand out being more difficult for any of those positions?
Obviously SWAT and K9, very physical. Especially, people think SWAT is very physical, but K9, as a K9 handler, so K9, there's drug dogs and there's what we call patrol dogs. Patrol dogs are the dogs that go out and find people. And so I did both, but our dogs here in Spokane, not all dogs across the nation track. So track means like if a bad guy
Runs.
robs a 7-Eleven, whatever, takes off, we can bring the dog in and
Wow.
track. Well,
Okay.
you're running.
Right,
You're
you
running
gotta-
behind that dog.
trying
and
to
like
keep
right
up.
now, it's 90-something degrees out, and
Mhm.
you're jumping fence after fence.
And you're
so
wearing
body armor.
Mhm.
So probably with all my gear on, is about another 35 pounds of stuff, and so
That was physical?
So it's
Pretty-
physical, very physical, yeah. But canine was by far my favorite job I've ever had, ever will have.
You get closer with your dog than you do other people, right?
Yeah. Well, our dogs come home with us.
Oh, I'm
and
aware. I know a guy.
Yeah. So yeah, you do. So I spend all my work time with the dog and all my home time with the dog. So.
Did your wife understand that? She.
Oh yeah, the dogs are part of the family, and I think one of the misconceptions about police dogs is that they're mean and vicious.
All the time.
And in fact, my kids were just talking about the last dog I had. His name was Hero. How he could be out, and the kids were small at the time, just playing with the kids, playing ball, playing with the neighbor kids, and then just like that, he could switch into police.
Time to
dog.
go?
Yeah, yeah.
So you said there was different dogs, the drug dogs and the tracking dogs and stuff, and that you did all of them. Was there one of those areas you liked better than the other?
Yes.
That was no hesitation.
So I spent 17 years in canine. I had 3 dogs, and all 3 dogs were patrol dogs.
What type of dogs are they?
The first dog I had was a Belgian Malinois, which years ago people had never heard of them, but you actually see them around quite a bit now. They look like a shepherd, but they have real short hair, almost
Okay.
like a deer-colored coat.
Okay.
Tall, lanky, very high energy dog. So that was my first dog. My other 2 dogs were German shepherds. One was from our puppy program, and then the third one was from Czechoslovakia. But to your question, my first dog, his name was Ricky, patrol dog, and at that time we didn't have any drug dogs in the city. And so, as an experiment, I was the new guy. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll volunteer to be the drug dog handler." How hard could it be?
How hard was it?
I'm on the SWAT team. I'm a canine handler. I mean, this is going to be a piece of cake, and it is extremely difficult. So I went to training for my drug dog training over in McNeil Island.
You go
over on
with the
west
dog,
side.
or you start with
the
yourself?
dog?
Okay.
Yeah. So Ricky, that patrol dog, I took him. So McNeil Island's a prison. It's out on an island, obviously. So I spent 6 weeks there, and it's that type of work is, all you're doing is teaching the dog how to play hide and seek. And so any dog that has a great ball drive, which people watching and listening, probably anybody that has a dog that loves chasing the ball, probably could turn that dog into a drug dog, because you're just teaching that dog, if you find this smell, you get your toy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But there's a lot more to it than that, because you have to. The dog is trained to give an alert, so our dogs are trained to give what's called a passive alert. So you probably see on TV they scratch and stuff like that. We found out very quickly that's not a good way to go, because if you're in tear apart a car or whatever.
Right,
now
right.
we're paying for somebody's seat or whatever. So they're trained on a passive alert, meaning so if he's sniffing and say something's hidden in this book, his nose goes there and he goes into a sit. But you have to learn how to present a room, like this. There's lots of things in here, and where the dog was actually searching, smelling, and then you get into these things where he stops and he looks at you, but he doesn't sit, and you're like, "What are you doing, dog?" And everybody's looking at you like, "Does he got something?" It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you know.
So it was more mental work, where the patrol dog stuff was just sort of out there, more physical, which is harder, but in some ways it's easier, because you're just doing the physical aspect instead of the trying to read your dog and figure out what's going on. But a lot of fun, and it's absolutely amazing. Like I said, 17 years, and I was still continually amazed about what the dogs can do. These mile-long tracks through backyards constantly, and it's like, wow, it's just crazy how the dog can find something like that. But
The sentiment, they're
they say how they track is all of us are putting off scent all the time.
Ryan puts off kind of negative energy.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So we're all shedding skin cells,
Correct.
and those skin cells, thousands of them every minute, and so everybody has their own unique scent based upon what you eat and your deodorants conditions,
Mhm.
all sorts
Environment.
of factors. Yeah. So the dog can smell that, and he's also looking for, when you're tracking, he can smell. So if somebody runs across grass where the person stepped, that just like when you mow a lawn, you know how you can smell that fresh grass.
Mhm.
So when you step, it smells the same way to a dog. It's like, oh, like here's some
Oh.
crushed grass, and even on pavement, because there's bacteria and microorganisms that
Things
live in the
some
pavement,
change.
and you step on that crush, it changes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's dogs.
Damn dogs.
Pretty cool. They're pretty cool. Yeah.
So, do you have to put any of your dogs down? Just gotta know.
Yeah. So I had 3 dogs.
Ricky was the first one, by the way.
Ricky, and then I had Spike,
And then Harold.
Yeah. And so, so there's times where I had 2 dogs because I had my retired dog
Mhm.
and then my working dog. And
So you kept after the fact?
Yeah. So
Okay.
once they're retired, you know, it's hard on them.
I would
At
imagine.
work, we compare police work for a dog is like a person playing pro football. It's just very hard on their body, and so usually they retire around anywhere from 8 to 10 years old, depending.
And they do age faster in general, like 7 years every year. Is that general? I'm just general.
Bigger dogs, they usually live to, 10 to 14 years old, somewhere in there. But so I had Ricky, my first dog, when I had Spike, and then he actually got Ricky got cancer, and then so yes, I had to put him down. And then Spike actually lived quite a while, but then my last dog, he was retired, and then he ended up getting cancer too.
Wow.
Yeah. Spike retired, my second dog. He got a disease called spondylosis, which it's a degenerative disease which eats away at the sheathing of the spinal
Jeez.
column, and so I noticed as time was going on, his back legs were when he was running, his
Mhm.
back legs were sort of going slower than his front legs, and it just got to the point where his back end couldn't stay up with his front end or his head. What he wanted to do. But,
Ryan has that problem too.
I was just gonna say.
I have. I think we all do now, right? Yes, we all do. Yeah, our heads are much younger than our bodies. Yep.
So, do you think, or could you tell if Ricky, because you had him while you were now working with Spike, so is Ricky sitting there looking at you at
Yes,
home like,
absolutely.
what are you doing?
Absolutely.
Cheating on me
Yes, absolutely. That's what it felt like. Yes, he would. I'd leave in the police, because we have take-home cars, because the dogs stay home with us, and I would leave, and he would run up to the window and look like, "Where are you going?" And every day I felt bad, Yeah, because the dogs love to work. They just love to work. Again, they're not mean. They're happy dogs.
They're out doing
It's all
stuff.
fun.
They're-
It's a game to them. They just want to go out and have fun and play. They don't
Yeah, it's
realize it's sometimes
There's bad guys and-
life-threatening and
right,
serious. But
right.
yeah.
I'm going to back up real quick. When you went to the school for SEC for the
Mhm.
training, what was the worst part that sticks on your head?
The worst part.
And what was the best part?
Um,
General questions I got. See, right here.
Yeah.
I'm going over and Ryan forgot to ask. So.
I really don't. I can't think of
Nothing?
anything that was bad, but I'll tell you what was good.
You come from a good background, and I'm generalizing because you have mom and dad, your family, so you always have that support.
Yeah. I mean, there was
Right.
nothing negative that, this was years ago. And,
Right.
and several years ago, I was sort of involved in the program when I was out at the police academy, when I was working at the police academy. And I can tell you, when I went through and then, they had
Changed immensely.
excellent, well, it changed immensely, but they still had excellent instructors out there.
Okay.
Very good program. And that's what I tell you, what I like about that program, is that is basically like the academy stretched out over 2 years. So you go through the community college law enforcement program, and if you do adequately well in there, you're going to have no problem in the academy because it's going to prepare you for the academy. So it's an excellent course. To get hired in Spokane, you do have to have some college. You don't have to have a degree, but you have to have some college. And I think 5 credits or something like that. I can't remember now. Needs to be English, which or some form of, you know, whether it's speech or writing or whatever, which is very job applicable, obviously. But yeah,
You know how to speak English? Even though I know where you graduated from?
Yeah, yeah, no.
That's why it's required.
We spoke Riverside, didn't we? Yeah. So.
Sorry.
But great program, excellent program.
Right.
I'd highly recommend it if you're
Looking
you
to
know,
go that way?
Yeah, if you're looking to go that way, or even not sure, take the intro to law enforcement class at the college, and it'll give you an idea of what, because a lot of the instructors are either current police officers or former police officers.
There you
Yeah.
So, how long were you on the force?
32 years.
Throughout that time?
So there's people working there now that weren't born when I started.
Oh, I am more than aware of that, how that works.
Yeah, so was I.
Thanks, Kev. Thanks, son of a. So, I like the dog thing. What were your typical hours? How'd that work? You obviously brought the dog home with you, part of the family, go out play, hang out with kids, family, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You work 8 hours, 10 hours? You go 5 days a week?
Yes.
Wow.
So
Extra training?
most people, when you get hired, you start out in patrol. I mean, everybody starts. I started out in patrol before I got into K-9, and you're working shift work. So you're assigned to one of 4 shifts. There's a day shift, swing shift power, which is evening hours to early morning, and then graveyard. And that's all based on seniority. And so the first couple of years, I worked graveyard, which I love. I mean, that's where all the fun stuff happens. And when I came out, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't even know about K-9 when I came on the police department. It's like I want to be SWAT, and I got on SWAT, and that was a lot of fun. But then
a lot of nighttime stuff.
Pardon me?
Was SWAT nighttime, evening, night, or
So SWAT on
Just to clarify?
Spokane Police Department is a specialty, meaning that it's not your full-time job.
Oh, okay.
So you're working patrol, or we have detectives that are SWAT officers.
Oh, okay.
So they do that job, and then they go to training when there's training, and then when there's a SWAT activation, then they go out.
They get contacted and time to go.
Pardon me?
They get contacted for whatever
Yeah.
SWAT,
Yeah.
something that's
So
needed.
back then it was pagers.
Correct,
Shows you
yeah.
how old I am. But phone call, whatever.
Yeah.
You need to go. And so again, I worked patrol for a couple of years. I was on the SWAT team at the time, and then I started seeing, hey, what are these K-9 guys? And I'd say I was a pretty active patrol officer. I like to get involved in stuff. And so guys were running from me and hiding from me, and so I ended up calling K-9, and it was like, wow, this is amazing, and that's what got me interested in that. And so, and then that's like a job within a job too. So I had to go
Right.
through an interview and another physical, which is a higher standard and everything. And then I went through 10 weeks of training with dogs, and then you're out working. And so we work the K-9 handlers. They all work sort of those power shift hours, those evening to early morning, because those are the peak activity for
Things might be happening.
yeah. So that's where
With illegal?
most of robberies or pursuits, or we work. They work. I don't know what to say anymore.
You don't do
10
that
hour
anymore.
10-hour shifts.
Okay.
And you would bid based on seniority for your days off and whatnot.
You were there forever, so you got seniority by then, or?
Yeah, I mean, I got usually what, I mean, I started at the bottom just like anybody else.
Right. No, I'm harassing you a little bit just because I've known you forever. Again, you wasn't like you're pushy or mean about it, but it's like I like that. I'll do that there.
I liked working the weekends, and so some guys like having weekends off. I like working the weekends because
More
there's
stuff,
more stuff
typically.
happening. And,
Doesn't surprise me. When you're on SWAT, just if you're working, you're regular, and you got contact, did you go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
in case
I was on
anybody-
K-9 and SWAT at the same time,
Show
so
off.
I carried all my equipment in the trunk.
Oh, wow.
And so I would just
Ready to
I had
go.
everything there.
Okay.
But they have SWAT rigs with all your gear in it, so you could just show up at a call and change there.
Okay.
To your
Just clarifying in case somebody is getting into it and they're going, oh, how's that? But if you're doing your main job, you could get called off that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, there's a lot of misconceptions about police because people watch TV and that's where
That's
they get...
not all real?
No. I was thinking about that coming here, and I was like, I cannot think of a single police show or movie that is even close to accurate. Outside of Cops, obviously, but even Cop, the TV show Cops, is not, and it's just showing you those, that 5 minutes of action. They're not showing you the 5 hours of paperwork.
Exactly.
Afterwards.
Yes. Yeah.
But
wasn't Chips accurate? I mean, we're always flipping and shooting up into the air.
Honestly, I would say something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Barney Miller is probably a little bit more accurate because everybody, it's a hard job. You see a lot of difficult things, but everybody develops a sense of humor to try to cope with that stuff. And so there's a lot of camaraderie and joking around and whatnot. But I forgot what your question was.
I don't know.
So with
Something
the canine, with the canine, do you have to do training throughout the year or every year to stay up?
Correct.
Yeah, we would actually train every week, one whole shift a week. And so, the way our schedules, when I was, even now, I think there's 6 canine handlers. So half would work Sunday through Wednesday, the other half would work Wednesday through Saturday. So everybody worked Wednesday, and that was the training day. So we would spend that whole shift training with the dog. And it's needed. They're dogs, and so you have to keep their skills up because quite frankly, people's lives are depending upon their ability to perform, and so you want to have them at peak performance all the time. So it's absolutely necessary for them to be trained. Now, when we're training, we're also available for if somebody needs a dog or whatever. We're going. In fact, all of us will go. But
how many dogs showed up at one time at handlers?
Sometimes it got a little competitive because everybody wanted to. Everybody enjoyed working their dog. Because you put a lot of time and effort, and it's very rewarding.
For you and your dog.
Yeah, when you go out and your dog performs and catches somebody.
You just look at your coworker. Smile.
Yeah.
So is it the same way on the SWAT?
Yes.
You have regular training.
Yeah. So SWAT, same. SWAT, we were training twice a month, so not as much. But still a whole shift, twice a month we were training. And then during the summer we'd have a whole week-long training too.
Did your trainings change? Did things change that much for training, where bad guys, you bust down a door, and I'm generalizing, I'm very general, but process, how much new did you learn, or was it just to keep up on?
Yeah, so there's, even in SWAT or canine, there's just a lot of different skill sets, and so there's different weapons that we've used in SWAT, so we had to go out and qualify on each of those, stay qualified on each of those weapons, be training on gas, so we'd have to make sure our gas masks were sealed and working in a gas environment, and it's just, there's repelling, which, I never did on a call, but you never know, and so there's a lot of, there's training, so there's some elements of training that were, in case we had to do this, you know how to do it. And same with canines. So there's, you're doing tracking, you're doing building searches, area searches. The dogs would do article searches. So like if somebody, say they already caught the guy, but hey, when he took off, he had a gun. I don't know where the gun's at now, and he ran 5 blocks. So we could send the dog out, and he would look and find that article because it has scent on it.
9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10?
It just depends on
situation.
Yes. So, like, we know in a building. So, like, if I'm searching the house here or whatever, dog clears the house. I guarantee there's nobody in this house. But when somebody runs out on foot, there's so many variables because it depends on time. How long has it been? 5 minutes or
since it happened?
20 minutes, because somebody can go a long distance in 20 minutes. Depends on the weather. So if it's 90-degree heat right now, that scent dissipates more quickly than if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and cooler and stuff like that. But we have a very, when I say we, the Spokane Police Department,
well, you were part
which
of it
I'm
for
not
a while.
part of anymore.
No,
I just want to make that disclaimer.
You were there 32 years.
Have an extremely good track record on a bad guy, don't run.
What would you think that based over all the time you were there, the general public, the misconception the general public have to do with, and I know things have changed recently, so let's just generalize when you were on the force and what the general public perception of what you did and how you could change or what could be changed, so the general public was smarter, because you know I'm going with that.
Like what their perception of police.
That you're aware of. They're
Yeah.
going, they don't do anything, or what, you know, they're at the donut shop or whatever that comes to your mind. Being on the force for 32 years,
Yeah.
what sticks out, and what would you do, or what recommendation to change that?
Oh, change it. Huh?
Yeah, see,
Well,
there
I-
you go. Question, ha. It's not just answer and give us history, and it's I did this.
It make me think.
Yeah, I know. Ouch.
I would say, I mean, then is the same as now, that, and what we already touched on, that people's preconceived notions about what police work is like is based upon what they see in the media, and
Okay,
that's
yeah.
pretty inaccurate.
Why do you think that is? Not to throw
Well,
that out there.
just because, hey, everybody loves watching cop shows and movies, and it's like, yeah, that, you know, they go get in a shooting with 5 bad guys, and then they drive off and they go get in another shooting. It's like
It doesn't happen that way. Okay, I've never
You know,
been in a
it's not,
shooting, but
you know,
I
it's
just.
not CSI where we can run a print and, you know, 10 minutes later we
Son
have
of a! I was gonna have you run a print for me.
Yeah. So I mean, that was pretty much the same
Probably was.
then as it is now, and now with, you know, more recent events, which, you know, I actually left right prior to the George Floyd incident, but you know, just that sort of mentality that an officer on the opposite side of the country somehow represents all police officers. I mean, what other profession would you say that about? There's none. And that's probably the one thing I think all police departments are trying to fight at this point, is that is not us. And just because you see that incident or other incidents
The media is hyping it,
across,
possibly.
you know, and it's easy to do because, yes, the media makes big things about it, and rightly so in some circumstances, that people need to be held accountable. Not saying every cop is a saint, obviously not, but it's certainly not representative of all police officers in the country, and I can guarantee it's not representative of the Spokane Police Department. I have never seen any corruption or anything like that on this police department. And in my later part of my career, I spent the last 4 years as major, so I was right below the assistant chief. So I was responsible for 2/3 of the department. I had all of patrol, and we have 3 precincts in town. And so I saw every IA complaint, internal affairs complaint, every use of force, and so I'm pretty intimately involved and aware of what's going on in the department. Yeah, when I say we, I talk in
It's all good.
present case,
It's all good.
people make mistakes and things.
They're human.
Yes, they're human, and they're human under extreme stress circumstances. And so, when you take that in consideration, I think the police department, does an absolutely phenomenal job. Absolutely phenomenal, but it's hard to combat. I mean, because of this preconceived notion about what, you know. I'm watching right now. My wife and I are watching The Wire, that TV show. It's HBO. It's Baltimore Police Department taking down some drug dealers. Yeah, it's pretty accurate as far as the police work, but there's a lot of drinking on duty. There's a lot of just
That doesn't happen in
it does not.
Spokane?
No, and I'm not going to say it doesn't happen in other parts of the country.
You're not there. You don't know.
As far as racist stuff, I mean, I can say I've never seen that here in this department, but I can say, I mean, I did a ride along with an agency. I'm not even going to name the agency. I was brand new. I knew an officer there. It was in another part of the country, and I was sitting in the back of the car like a bad guy the whole shift. But I wanted to go see what this, what's it like at this big agency.
Right.
But they made a stop on a black elderly couple, and I was like, hey, why are you guys stopping these guys? I'm just curious, and I was like, they're down here in the neighborhood, tore apart their car for no reason. And I was like, what in the world? But So I can tell you, yeah, stuff like that happens. It doesn't happen here in Spokane. Yep.
So how do you combat that? How would the
You know,
not we, but the Spokane Police Department? How would you advise them to combat?
Again, I
this?
talk in present tense because I've only been gone a year, but there's a lot of things that we've been doing, and it's hard because I think this is true in any profession or with anybody. You know, I mean, you could get 100 compliments, but you get that
One
one
bad one.
criticism,
Mhm.
and that's what sticks out. So we can have thousands of compliments, but one person goofs up and it makes the news. That's all everybody cares about. But we've been doing we do have the police athletic league where we have all summer long kids are coming into all the different parks and stuff with police officers, and they're playing basketball and soccer and football and all sorts of things. They're doing boxing,
Engaging one
things
up
like-
so they get to know.
Yeah. So we have another thing called the youth police.
What was that again?
Youth police initiative. I don't drink either.
Maybe you should start.
And so, with that program, kids in different high schools, kids that have been identified through the school as being starting to go down a road where they're going to get into some issues, and so they're partnered over a period of a week with police officers, and they just have these sort of meetings and discussions and open dialogue where they get to know us. Almost everybody in the department has participated in this at one point or the other, and it lets them get to know us as people and vice versa.
Right.
And so, because again, their notion is, especially because a lot of these kids come from families where other family members have been in trouble, so their experience with the police is
Negative.
all I know is that the police came in and arrested Dad.
Right.
And, you know, I don't like the police because they arrested
Right.
Dad, and so they get to know, why that might have happened and actual officers. So
As a person.
yeah, and lots of other programs like that we're
Nice.
constantly
I'm
doing.
sure that
So,
helps.
Yeah, I hope so.
Educate.
Yeah.
A lot of kids don't know because for whatever reason their parents or mother somehow took a wrong turn.
Yeah.
And they have kids, and sometimes it's not an easy thing to. So.
Yeah, it's just programs like that help people see us in a different light. Because what's most people's experience with a police officer, like you were talking about earlier, it's a traffic stop, right? And depending on those circumstances, it could be positive or negative. You got a ticket, even under the best circumstances, it's still sort of negative, right? Cause
Well, for the guy,
fine.
yeah, and he's just doing his job technically.
Yeah. So it just lets people see officers in another light.
Maybe understand why.
And when I was in K-9 again, we were doing demos all the time, demonstrations. So different groups would ask us to come, and we'd do schools and whatnot.
Find drugs and have to chase down somebody in this. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, lighten it up a little. You were there forever. For 30, I mean, that's a lot. Come on, there's people that weren't even born when you.
Thanks
yeah.
for bringing that up again. Thank you.
You're welcome because I get it. Yeah. Then your little brother over there, punk. He's a young punk. So, if somebody wants to do that career-wise with all the other information, the question is income benefits like 401 healthcare, etc.
Yeah.
You're retired now. Are you enjoying your retirement?
Absolutely, yeah. And to get back to the beginning, and
Yes,
the start
please.
of your question is, when I applied to be a police officer, I was not thinking it's like, this is
You were young, and we were just trying to.
great benefits and a great retirement
still don't
system.
think that.
No, yeah,
Retirement, what's that?
I really think people that go into law enforcement, they feel a calling of some sort.
Yeah.
And how I would characterize that is things like 9/11 or school shootings or different things like that. People hear about that, and a lot of people think, thank God I wasn't there. And people that have this calling think opposite of that. They think, I wish I was there. I wish I was there to help. And
You made a difference,
that's,
possibly.
yeah. And so if you feel that type of calling, that's the type, police work's good for you, because that's all the job is opportunities to help people. Now it's all masked in arresting people and doing paperwork and booking into people, but in the end, really, you do have that opportunity to really make a difference. And so if if you feel that, explore it. Like
Sure.
I said, there's going ride-alongs. We have a ride-along program.
So if I wanted to go for a ride along, could I do that?
Yes, actually, I don't know right now because of all the COVID stuff. I think
Right.
that-
I
think
understand that, but in general,
yeah.
just general
Absolutely, yeah.
I did a ride along.
Yeah, who'd
They
you go
like-
with?
That's crazy. You know a guy?
Yeah.
I remember a
Did
story
anything
from that. I
happen?
don't know if I should say it.
Yeah,
Oh.
probably not. You both remember it,
Usually
apparently.
there's what we call the ride-along jinx. So when somebody rides with you, nothing happens at all. But something happened, I don't remember.
Let's see. Well, you had to.
Was it canine or what was
No.
it? It was just,
You were just on patrol. It was fairly early in
Yeah.
here. I remember there was a drunk covered in pee in a doorway that you had to get him to move. But
good job not naming Victor, by the way.
Yeah.
But yes.
there was a lady,
Maybe?
and I think you pulled her over or something. When you ran her ID, it came back that she had a warrant, and it turned out it was the wrong person. They had had the
Oh.
wrong middle initial or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what the deal was, but I remember we took off heading down to take her in, and she's just like adamant about you
Oh.
have the wrong person.
Yeah.
And finally you were like, I better double check this, and you did. And we only made it like a couple blocks
Yeah.
away from where she was at, and you were like, well, no, let's take you back to your car.
Yeah.
We have the wrong person here.
And I don't remember any of that. And our dad, he used to ride with me quite
Really?
a bit. He tells all sorts of stories. Well,
Are
he
they
tells
true?
all sorts of stories. That's a different issue. But some of them I know are true, but some of them I have no memory of. But yeah, I just don't remember things. And yeah, but what was the question? Yes, like that.
After everything,
Oh,
the
but you're talking
excitement
about
around the world, and I could
You're talking about
contact.
benefits and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
well,
so-
yeah, that initially, but I could go along for a ride or
Oh, right along.
GQ
I guess.
when it opens up and it's okay. So check with
Yes.
the local police
So
department.
I think
Benefits
I
and-
would highly recommend that. There's also we have what's called the Citizens Academy, which is free, and I don't know how long it is now. It's been in different formats. It's been a couple week thing, which is like a couple nights a week, or it's been like 6 weeks, one night a week. But and then usually it's like 3 hours each evening. But they have a variety of people come in, police officers, major crimes, detectives, canine SWAT, the traffic unit, all sorts of different things. They'll take a tour of the station, or the jail, or whatever, and give you a good idea of what, that's another good way to sort of see if you're looking for a career in this, it's a good way to see if this is for you. But, and again, I'd highly recommend a ride along if you're looking for a career in law enforcement.
I just want to see how, if I can jinx. I want to see a boring night with the patrolling.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm a jinx.
Yeah. But back to benefits and stuff, and that's something I realized later in my career. A career in law enforcement has excellent benefits. It's one of the last, working in city government, it's one of the last places where there's actually a pension, a retirement
wow.
pension. And then they have 401k matching and whatnot, and great vacation opportunities. Time.
You kind of need that because of the stress. I do know a former police officer. Just my quick story. He'd call me once in a while. He was on duty. I don't know what was going on, but I'd make him laugh.
Yeah.
That's why he'd call me.
Yeah. Like I said before, it's like, I was joking about, police work being like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Well, I mean, there's a lot of humor, that camaraderie just because of that,
What's
I mean,
going
you go, I mean, it sounds gruesome, but you see a dead child. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you see things most people will never see in their life.
I would not want you.
And to find a way to cope with that, you need to develop ways of doing that, whether it's through humor or exercise or all of those types of things. But it's absolutely necessary because you do see it. The job changes you, and I'm not saying it's for the negative or the positive, but because you see things and experience things that most people will never even have a fraction of, it changes you in ways like that. So you have to have that family or different ways to cope, or positive ways to cope, I should say.
Yeah, very clarification. Yeah, positive ways. Hanging out with your brothers, was that ever positive? Oh, never. That had nothing to do with his.
No, I think we got along. We always got along.
He was
I
the
think we
older
got
one.
some fights.
He'd
Got along enough.
Yeah.
The older, yeah, my older brother and I, yeah, we got along great because he always beat me, but you know, yeah, good
Did they
for
beat you up? I don't remember ever beating
See,
you up.
I can remember, not really beating me up. I remember you cuffing my wrist to my ankle and throwing the key across the room, making me
What, was I a
crawl
police
over.
officer?
You were.
Why did I have handcuffs?
You were in training then. You
Oh.
weren't. You weren't hired on yet.
Let's leave your wife out of this.
But it was a good life lesson for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I'd get close, you'd run over and grab it, throw it. I remember me and Derek. The one day we decided we were gonna team up and cuff you with your own cuffs, and we ended up both being cuffed together.
Oh, I wish
Good
I remembered
times.
that. Yeah.
Good times.
I wish there was pictures of that.
I'm glad there's not.
Video, it'd be on YouTube right now if it was. Wow. We're almost done, believe it or not.
Oh.
So, question: when you were a kid, like I don't know, 4, 5, 6, what did you want to be? Did you want to be a cowboy?
But I what?
What did you want to be a cowboy? What did you want to be? What you know? Some kids want.
I wanted. You know what I wanted? I wanted to be Batman.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I kind of
And
knew
so
that.
That's how I got
leading
Batman.
into this.
Yeah.
And so, that being said, you did your career in police, law enforcement, etc. And did you, any way, somehow get closer to that, being Batman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds silly. It does. It sounds.
I don't think so.
It sounds
With
absolute.
cosplay these days and the whole thing, you get to change people's lives, and you have affected kids and other people.
Yeah. So I mean, you get to you know, reading comic books and you know that right versus wrong, instilling that moral.
And you got that from your family
compass
too.
And the family, absolutely.
Combination.
But you know, and then that sort of drove me towards a career in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And in law enforcement, I got a take-home car, a Batmobile.
Kinda.
I got a partner, a dog, Robin.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got to go out and fight crime and
How else
Be
did you?
Batman.
So your dogs came pre-named, right?
yes, they did. Actually,
Otherwise, would they have all been Robin?
maybe
Yeah,
just like
Nightwing or
Batman,
something.
he went right through all the Robins. Yeah. My second dog actually. So we had for many years we had a puppy program. So the first dogs that we got were from Germany, and we purchased a female, and we bred the dogs, and raised the puppies, and trained them, and we sold some to different agencies throughout actually the country, and then we trained some, and that's Spike was a puppy program dog, so we got to name him. And then my third dog, his name was Hero, but his actual name was Nero, which I didn't like because King Nero, you know, burned down the city, playing the fiddle while he burned. So I was like, I don't think that's a good name. So I changed it to Hero, which was more in line with mine.
You still evaded where I was going with that, but
And
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
no idea what you're talking
I know you
about.
don't, so and I'm okay with that. We'll just leave it at that for now.
Thank you.
You and I know, and your brother knows, and I think it.
It's one of the worst kept secrets that
Yeah,
I try to maintain.
Yeah, I understand. I just think that's another part of your life that's helped influence because me doing what I've done or that guy has done has changed people's, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
That it would.
Yeah.
Just being the silly, goofy guy that I am. So.
And that's pretty cool, isn't it? I
Oh,
mean,
it's odd. Oh,
It's, you know, we were talking about being geeks as kids, and back then it was not cool, and now it's cool.
no.
And the influence that, like, you and what you do, and some of the things that we do, are
Mhm.
to have on people, especially, you know, when you see kids or even adults that are going through something in their life.
Correct.
And, you know, it's easy to make light of, but it has a huge impact on them. And
I'm blown away because to be on the receiving side of somebody saying that because I had no concept or anything, and I just saw Clarion, a kid, first time I visited Shredders.
Yeah.
I saw him. I have known him for like 10 years now. But he was like just the difference. So you'll just have to pay attention. Maybe later on we'll get into that. We still haven't touched on that, have we, Ryan?
Nope.
But even the music for me, I've
Yeah.
had people reach out and
Yeah.
thank me, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
So, being positive. So I'm grateful for
And
that.
that's, you know, again, being a police officer, you have that opportunity to make, again, one of the misconceptions that cops are rude jerks.
I still think you are, though, by the way. But it has nothing to do with cop.
Yeah. And I think
Well, I can say I've been pulled over many times, and they've all been super nice and polite.
Even to you?
Yes. Which is saying something.
I
about
know.
Spokane
That's what I'm
Police.
saying. They didn't know who you in
They
connection.
are.
They're just
Yeah, I always
Stellar.
took the attitude of treating people the way I would want to be treated, and we often encounter some very bad people, very
I'm
very
surprised,
bad
yeah.
people, but I would still treat them with the utmost respect, even if inside I was like, you are an absolute disgusting person.
right.
Number one, because it's the right thing to do, but number two, you're also, as a police officer, when you're contacting somebody, you're setting the tone for the next time that person's contacted. So if I'm a rude jerk to you, the next time you get stopped, you're going to expect a rude jerk the next
Correct.
time. If I'm a nice guy to you, you're going to, hey, it was pretty decent.
And I know for you, you're better than that. You will do.
I'm not going to say I was perfect all the time,
Huh.
but I tried to be. But
Well, you're,
and that's all anybody can
you
do.
tried
right?
to do the
You try-
best.
yeah, and really everybody does, you know. And again, difficult job, and you're talking about earlier what people need, what they don't know, what they should know, is you know, cop shows up to your house or traffic stop, you don't know what happened to that officer prior, which shouldn't make a difference, but it does, because
it has to.
you
You're
know,
human.
you run through a red light, and that officer just went to a DV where, again, he saw a domestic violence, where he saw a child beaten, or had to take some, had to do CPR on somebody, or whatever. You know, they're people, they have emotions going, and granted, we should, and they do a good job of staying in control of those, but that definitely takes a toll. And which leads me to one of the other points. People often say, it's like, oh yeah, I saw a cop blow through a red light, and then he drove and he turned into a restaurant. Well, that radio's talking all the time.
Right.
And it's like, hey, there was a foot pursuit, blah, 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 turn on the lights,
Gotta
go through the
gotta go.
intersection, caught him, oh, turn it off. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to go get something to drink.
So they're
you know?
assuming once
Yeah.
again they don't know all the information.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully,
Using their power to
Yeah.
get through the red lights.
yeah, they just want to deal with traffic.
Yeah.
You know.
Or the restaurant was closing soon. I don't know. No.
Well, that one donut shop does say on their sign, or if we run out, you know, they close
Yes.
at 2 o'clock, or unless we run out, you know, so you gotta hurry.
And I will say that is one preconceived notion that, yes, cops do love donuts.
Do you not like donuts?
I don't. I'm not a big donut fan.
Maple bar once in a while, maybe.
Actually, you know, that's funny, because I went to some training in New York City.
New York City.
New York City, which they have an amazing academy. They actually
Do they have donuts?
They have a mock city of actual 3 to 4 story apartment buildings, streetlights, everything.
Wow.
When they go out and do their academy mock scenes. But anyways, we stopped to get some donuts, and the officer who was escorting us around said, well, "What do you guys want?" So, "I have a maple bar." And he's like, "A what?" "A maple
Oh.
bar." "A what?" They don't have maple bars there.
No,
Never heard of them.
What?
Yeah.
Florida either.
Yeah.
The whole east side's never even heard of them.
Crazy. So when I got back, I
Had a
sent
maple bar?
him a box of maple
There
bars.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, his response was, did he anything?
He didn't say anything.
Son of a what? Thanks for nothing. Right? You can at least say, hey, they suck.
He's still
But
in a sugar coma. He
Yeah,
hasn't recovered yet.
Yeah. Great host.
Yeah, it's like you get about halfway across the U.S. and they start calling them Long Johns, but they mix them with white icing
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't get that way that often, nor do I want to now, apparently.
No, not if you're a maple bar fan.
Just saying. I once in a while. Yeah. Anything else for our guest, or you?
Now we finished on donuts. I mean, how else can you finish?
I-
That's
well,
where you got to finish.
I think
right?
that's
I'm just thank you. You see, I've known you forever, but some of the stuff is, you know, it's since I know several. I know people on both sides, by the way, good and
As
bad.
do I.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you friends with them though? Okay, I'm not always friends, but I'm acquaintances with.
Sure.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Because just saying. And then I know your brother. Enough
Good
said.
and bad.
Mhm.
as do I.
Well, if you got any questions, hit us up. We'll forward it to Kevin. Check out the Spokane Police Department if you're looking to do. I got to check. I want to do a ride along. Remember, maybe this fall sometime.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin won't be a
Okay.
part of it, and I'll say I don't know anybody. And, probably best bet.
They probably don't know who I am anymore. It's been a year.
Oh, for some reason I didn't see you for over a year, and it still lingered in bad. Yeah, okay. Just saying. There you go. Another episode down. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
You'd like to beat your brother now? Handcuffs? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Career Paths by Infonet. Please subscribe. Check us out. Leave a message, comment. I'm trying to remember. I don't. Can I read my writing? Yeah. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Remember, it's your life. Make it happen. Till next time. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Maybe I could become a police op. Never mind. Zollers